And then you formed your LLC in 2021, and this is the Sin City pressure washing. So how do you go from I'm working on airplanes, I'm doing these shows, these air shows, I'm talking to a bunch of people, public speaking, to, you know what? Time to do a power washing in Las Vegas. Take me from there. You can skip where you butted heads. I know you don't want to talk about that, but how do you go, like, listen, power washing is what I gotta be doing right now?
Yeah, so I have my hand in a lot of different ideas and people. You know, people are kind of my passion. I have friends that are scattered all over the US, and we all have big ideas. And when I was getting ready to be done with Draken, I knew my time was coming close. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick.
No, go ahead.
One of my friends, Craig, actually offered to be my first investor. And so he set me up with a $10,000 pressure washer. That was from North Star. Awesome pressure washer, first of all. Then probably about another $1,000 into the licensing and actually forming my LLC. And then he had some family issues come up where he had to remove himself. So I essentially took it on kind of all of a sudden by myself. And instead of navigating through finding my own customers and having to scramble like that, I had already had a buddy who I was working for doing window cleaning. And so essentially I just had him contract me out. He had a bunch of clients, so he always had work for me. And so contracted me out under my LLC and worked for him while trying to build my own clients, which over the course of the year, I didn't exceed my expectations by any means when it came to my own clients. But at least I got the experience of working close to someone who had already done it. You know, they built it from the ground up and had a good functioning business that was growing. He ended up buying a second truck for, crews to go out and run routes. And he had his big truck to do the higher houses, bigger houses. We have what's called a water fed system where you can do like 60-foot windows from the ground.
So right, pretty much just right place, right time. The opportunity presented itself and you capitalized on it.
Yeah. And then now that I've learned the system and how to do it, I moved up here to Washington to be closer to family. And I'm going to emulate the same thing here. I actually have a better LLC set up this time as far as having one underneath the other. And right. So, it's smarter. I have a good plan now. I'm not taking it too hard, too crazy. Just let it come as it goes.
That's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like a lot of businesses start that way. Like, even my own business and Biggest Podcast Solutions. If I didn't go to Long Island, New York, to visit some college buddies while I was going to see a wrestling show that weekend, and I didn't bump into my buddy Jared, and we didn't talk about business, and I didn't get laid off that next Monday, none of this would have happened. It's just, right. It really is right place, right time, and the right idea with the right people. You said like you had an investor who gave you some cash, man. I am jealous of you because but again, I have 2 or 3 partners who had things I don't have, which is a studio. Someone knows how to do marketing and someone knows how to do tech and build an app.
There we go.
And I just have this crazy goddamn idea about podcast networks and podcasting RSS feeds. And they just happen to know how to put it all together. And yet, here we are 4 years later, still trying to put it all together.
Absolutely.
But, as you said earlier in the podcast, it's all about the work ethic. It's about the grind. You got to have that. So you having that entrepreneur spirit, where do you get your drive? Where do you get your motivation? What is your muse to really be an entrepreneur and fight for every dollar you have to make?
Pulling from opposite directions. I don't know if you're a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, but actually you remind me a lot of him. You're
Oh, Gary V. It's only a matter of time before another entrepreneur podcast mentions Gary V. If I remind you of Gary V, man, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Your intro actually reminded me.
I have. Oh, thank you. I love that intro too. The voices are all me, by the way. I don't love or hate Gary V. I just accept Gary V for who Gary V is. I respect the hustle of Gary V. I have pulled a lot of inspiration from Gary V when I was 22 years old and just getting the idea to start a business. I used Gary V as motivation. Not so much what he said, but thank you. If I remind you of Gary V, that makes me laugh and it makes me smile.
Yeah. So what was the original question? I apologize.
What as an entrepreneur, what gives you that drive to keep
That's
working
right.
every day? Because entrepreneurs, I work 12, 13, 14-hour days. I worked Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. The work never stops. So
100%.
what makes you wake up in the morning and go, Let's go. Let's do it.
So pulling from opposite directions, just genetics. I was blessed with amazing genetics. You know, my mom and dad have gone through their roller coaster of life, but they've blessed me with this ADHD spirit where I just can't stop but shining. You know, I just walk through the day and I'm just happy. I can't help but be happy. So that in itself, amazing, blessed. And then my children, you know, I had my first daughter when I was 19, and I have a big rib tattoo of her that just reminds me of why I'm doing this. You know, I'm building a legacy not only for myself, but to leave behind for them, because as much as proud as they make me, I want to do the same, you know, because they make me proud every day, but I want to do the same. And so I can't wake up every day and give it half-ass and expect to be proud. I want to earn this. And, you know, that's why I haven't gotten into this yet, but I intermittent fast. And one of the reasons why is I think you need to earn it. You know, I think you need to wake up every day, kind of hustle, do your thing, get some business done. And then around noon to 1, I usually eat my first meal. And yeah, it's like back in the tribal days, you know, you had to earn your first meal. You don't just wake up and go to the refrigerator and eat your food.
I love that. I also do intermittent fasting, not for that reason, but I'm going to start saying it's for that reason. I love that. I do it because I do believe that you should eat all of your eating should be done in an 8-hour window. Whether it's from when the first time you eat to the last time you eat, like it doesn't need to be when you wake up. It can be, okay, I'm eating something at noon. Once 8 o'clock hits, I'm done eating. No more eating until the next day. And I also have digestive issues. I got Crohn's disease. I got to watch my diet. So intermittent fasting has been really good for me as well. It's for some reason, it's very good for my energy.
Well, it's science, you know, I don't want to get too heady with it, but it really is, you know, your body's only meant to digest for 12 hours. If you're not getting that rest after the 12 hours, you're not doing what your body needs. You're not giving it that rest period. And it actually regenerates cells if you want to break it down. After that 12-hour period, your body finds other ways to fix itself.
I mean, it works for me, right? It's my system, and that might change in a week and a half when my girlfriend and I move in together, and she's probably gonna be cooking a lot more. So we'll see if I still fast, but you know, I hope so. I hope so, because I do like my eating schedule because it lets me get more work done. Another reason I do intermittent fasting is so I can get more work done.
Agreed.
But I'm very happy you said that your motivation is your family, because I feel the exact same way. Granted, it's a family I don't have yet. So, you know, I have my parents back home. I got my family here in Jersey as well. But I work as hard as I do because I'm chasing that American dream. You know what I mean? Like I want to buy my house. Me and my girlfriend want to get married. We want to be able to afford that. We want to have 2 or 3 kids. We want to buy a house in North Jersey.
I love this right now.
So like I'm working these 14-hour days now so I can get that, be a father, and then I can hopefully cut back a little bit on the business and just enjoy my time. But for now, I'm 28 years old. It's all about, it's just the grinds. And the thing with this podcast is I've been going extra. It's like, so I started last year, this Talking with Tarashuk podcast, where it's like, all right, I'm actually going to make a push on this business. No more setting things up. I'm going to just start going. And January of last year, this time last year, you know, I started. And then ever since then, it's been going harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. And it's just like, I'm just sitting in my chair going, I could do more. I could be doing more. And the financial gain isn't quite there yet. It's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. But I am getting a lot of people in my real life consistently talking to me about my podcast, which to me is the best part. That's where the real work pulls off. So you've seen my TikTok channel. It's about 400 followers on there. Not a lot, not terrible either. But people in real life... But
you're one TikTok away from having 500,000. You know, that's how TikTok works these days.
That really is how it works.
One video. Video.
It's gonna be hopefully it's this one. That really is how it works. But my point is, the people in real life who come up to me all the time, almost every single day, is worth more than like my new strategy works off on YouTube and I get a few more 1,000 views or whatever. So that's really cool. I'm really happy that I have people like you reaching out to me to find guests. Like the fact that I don't have a headache and like I have people, I have to turn down people now because I have so many fucking people reach out to me to be a guest on this podcast. It's amazing. Yeah. So the hard work does pay off in different ways. But yeah, me and you, man, we're fighting for the same things. It's you already got what I want.
I love being on the opposite side of the coin for this reference because, yeah, I already did it. You know, I look this young, but I've lived that whole life. You know, I built a family. I was married for 10 and a half years. I did the multiple careers and I was making upwards of 95,000 at my height, but I was spending all of it, not on anything crazy, just on my kids and eating out too much and living the life, keeping up with the Joneses. And then around 27, 28 is when I really realized that and started going the opposite way where I wanted to downsize. I always knew I wanted a Tesla. And so I drove around a little 2018 Nissan Versa for 3 years until I could afford the Model Y. And then so last year I pulled the trigger on the Model Y. And so there's so many things that I was like, I know I'm going to get there one day. I know I'm going to get there. But it wasn't until I had that realization moment where I had to kind of take a step back and figure it out. But yeah, and now I get to be the opposite. Now my kids are very tucked in safely in Nevada, living with their mom. They know that I'm out here dislocated and hustling. I'm in hustle mode. I actually just took 2 trips back to back the last 2 months. I went to Vegas for 5 days to do window cleaning, hopped on a plane, went to Chattanooga, and then spent 5 days doing real estate. And my buddy Matthew is just killing it in Chattanooga. And so I went to help him flip some houses, and I'm probably going to continue that process. I got some project management stuff here, plus my window cleaning, but I just want to be all over the place.
That's awesome. And like, this sitting here, listening to you talk and then me reminiscing on what I just said, this is very uniquely American, this kind of a lifestyle. And sometimes it really sucks. Like sometimes it's just like, man, I'm doing this for no money and I can't afford a house. I can't do this. I can't do that. I need help. But other times it's like, it's going to pay off. I'm going to look back on this day and be like, yeah, it was worth it. And that's it. It really is. Like I said earlier, I'm chasing the American dream, but at the same time, while chasing them, at the same time living it. It's really weird. That's
Gary Vee moment right here. Trust the process. Like if you fall in love with the process, which it sounds like you already have, you got it. It's only a matter of time now, because you're going to wake up every day and be doing this because it's making you happy. You see the gains already. You've already seen that climb, and just as long as you keep on that rotation, it's going to pay off, man. I can already tell.
Well, you know this as an entrepreneur, right? It has its ups and downs. It has its ebbs and its flows. And recently, I was very much in ebb, where it's just like, fuck, man. Like, I got these bills. The Q1 is just the worst for us because when all of our yearly subscriptions are up, and we got to pay everything. So it's just like Q1's the toughest because it's like I got so much money I got to come up with, and I don't know how I'm going to come up with it. So
nobody wants to do business around the holidays. I run a window cleaning company in Washington. Nobody wants their windows cleaned in December.
That's it.
So,
but
yeah.
it was sometime last week where I had a click, and it's like I'm back in a flow state, and I'm not gonna lie, it was ChatGPT. Do you know what ChatGPT is? The text AI.
Of course, I haven't hopped on it yet, but I feel that energy because it is revolutionary.
I started using it. I started playing with it, and my creative juices got flowing. And it's just like, oh, I got ideas. And when I have ideas, it gets me motivated. I want to try those ideas.
Yes.
Like you see what these podcast playlists I got. That's an idea I want to try for a long time. And I was waiting for one thing. I was waiting for another thing. And it was just in December. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting. I'm just going to do it, and I'll figure it out later. And I did. Yep. And it's pretty cool. But now I got this ChatGPT idea. It's like, okay, I think this is going to take me to that next level. So I'm very much in a flow state right now. And that's just fun. That's just fun. And what I can tell someone to get out of an ebb state where things just suck is just power through. Just power through it. Just keep pushing. Keep working. Keep your head down. Knuckles to the floor.
And keep having conversations. I've made so many connections in the most random places. And so just keep having the conversations. This right here being one of them. Like I said earlier, you're the first person that I really reached out to on TikTok for business purposes. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out. For all I knew, you were going to tell me to F off. But yeah, here we are having a great conversation.
Well, man, you caught my attention. And that's my weakness. If someone catches my attention, I can't say no.